most people take on too little. There are really two kinds of, or you can separate people up into two groups. And I can tell that the first group is going to stay at a mediocre level their entire life. Nothing wrong with that. It's just a fact. I can also tell that the other group of people, based on what they do and how they think, is going to end up in a totally different place. They're going to max out on what their body can do, their capacity for creating music and creativity. And these people over here are going to have immense fun, while these people over here have a hobby. And there's nothing wrong with hobbies. Don't get me wrong. It's just that you can hear that in your, I want to go there, but there's nothing wrong with this. You just need to decide what group would you like to belong to. These people over here, they climb small mountains. When you begin to play guitar, you take on easy songs, right? So you can get a result fast, so you can win, right? You play a song with D and A, right? And then you play all the songs that you can play with these two chords. And that's really fun because you get to create music, which is what you want. Then you learn new chords, and you keep on doing the same thing. You learn chords, you learn licks, you learn all these things. But you keep it at a level where you can just do it, just outside your zone of skill, right, of level of skill. So, and that's what most music teachers do as well. They say, okay, now we're from Itsy Bitsy Spider, now we move on to whatever, right? And that's all fine, but who gets really excited about that? The first rule of building extraordinary skills is to be very passionate, because that just changes the chemistry of your brain and your learning ability completely. But do you get very passionate about taking that little baby step to the next level all the time? You don't. At some point, there has to be a shift in your brain where you go from, oh, what's the next thing I can manage to learn, right, to let's climb Mount Everest. Most people stay with small mountains. Or let's climb the small mountain instead of Mount Everest, because I can manage that. What is it that is more manageable about a small mountain than Mount Everest? Nothing. It's just in your mind. It's like, I can get a win by, I'm at the top now. So what? You're going to climb it again next day? Yeah. Then climb the same freaking mountain every day until you get to that top. It's a much bigger win. But stop limiting yourself. And that shift, you have to go from wanting to, if I could play that solo, or if I could just play that blues, whatever, to what if I could actually create that music from scratch? And most people say, oh, Claus, that's too much. That's the work of gods. That's like a magical zone of how do you do that? How do you even start creating music like that? Or create a solo? Or play freely, like, sit down and just create something that people haven't heard before? Or just improvise a solo? That's just so far beyond me. But you have to go there. You have to start being willing to believe in it, so you can start building the skills and really asking yourself some different questions than, what's the next song I can learn that won't be too hard? Or what's the next lick I can learn? Or what's the next rhythm I can learn? You need to take a stand now and say, I'm aiming for the stars here. And I don't care what you're going to use it for. If you're going to play in your living room for the rest of your life, don't care. A very good example, I'm going to bring up a painting for you on the screen right now. My son painted this before he had ever painted any picture in his life. It's an oil painting. How did he do this? Seems like, he must be extremely talented. But instead of aiming for painting something, learning to paint a tree or painting something or drawing something that was simple to start with, he just took a photo of this pump and then he sat down. And then he started with just one dot of the image. Then he looked down to his colors down there. He knew just a little bit about how to mix them and to get every color out of some basic colors. And then he started putting dots and then, taking it off with a rag if it wasn't the right color. And started developing. It took him an entire day, like 16 hours of just sitting in front of that. Focused completely, forgetting to eat. Because he was just developing just a small area and then working with the colors of that and looking back and forth meticulously, focused. Then he painted a picture and he put it up on Facebook. The whole family went, what is that? That's not your first painting. It can't be. But let it inspire you to see what you can really do when you start picking things apart and actually focusing on, how do I just go for the freaking stars right away? Right? And start building from the core out. And if you've been watching any of my other videos here, in this series, you know that we have a new program out that's based on the exact same principle of instead of trying to play a specific run or a specific sequence, let's build the actual ability to just set yourself free on the fretboard. Right? Let's build that ability now, even though you're starting out. Because then you're building an amazing castle when you're practicing. And you got that glazed over look in your eyes because, I'm building just an amazing thing here. I'm going to have that cool skill of just bursting out in, flames when I play, right? That's what I'm building, so I'm excited all the time. I go into my practice sessions, and it's not like, let's play around with a jam track and do something I'm used to do. I'm just working passionately. I'm building my skills to the highest level, and I'm doing it in the most effective way. I'm focusing on the core of things, and I'm expanding from the core, as we talked about in the previous video. So you might want to go check that program out if you haven't already done so. Little advertising here. But I hope you get my point. Besides the fact that we have a new course out. I hope to get the point of, climb Mount Everest. Why the fuck wouldn't you? Stop having those small goals. The only way to get to Mount Everest is to aim, just climb it, right? Make sure you got enough food and water and everything and you prepare yourself, but climb it, right? Everybody can if you prepare enough and do the right things. I guess so. Haven't ever done it myself, but, stop those small hills. Stop those, you know what I mean.